He's from the eNCA Money Desk. He's back now with me here on Today in Studio. That's Devin Murugan. Good afternoon again, Devin. I see the country's largest poultry producer says it's making a R2 loss per kilogram on chicken. Why? The power crisis is destroying the sector.
Yeah, Dan, you guessed it. I mean, that's no surprise, but you're quite right. I mean, if you're going to produce a chicken nowadays, and you're Astral doing that, you will actually make a R2 per kilogram loss because the price of producing it is higher than the selling price. And again, that's the word from the country's largest producer, which is Astral Foods. Now, that company warning that its half-year profit could plunge by up to 90% as it struggles to cover soaring feed costs and costs related to the power cuts. Earlier, I spoke to Schutte, the CEO of Astral. I started by asking him, at what point could we see the retail price of chicken escalate as a result of this?
It's a double-edged sword. So during last year, we had this high input cost, and there was an effort to recover our feeding cost via the price of chicken. We were partly successful with that. It's not easy in a market where you've got 40% unemployment, and you know that we are very sensitive towards the consumer. But then recently the cost of generating your own electricity and the impact of load shedding has added more and more costs. So currently, with our own generators in place, and the program is not in such a status that we are completely self-sufficient, but we're now burning an additional 30 million rand worth of diesel per month. It's R1 million a day. So that cost is not being recovered in the market. And again, I have to emphasize, we are not insensitive to the consumer, but in order to have a sustainable business, we must be in a position to try and recover our key input cost.
Chris, just looking at your trading update today, I see it doesn't end there, because you're putting on hold a large part of that 700 million rand worth of expenditure or expansion plans that you looked at previously. And I suppose it's obvious why you're not pursuing that. What was that capital destined for?
Well, the majority of that was for expansion and further expanding the business and investing in better efficiencies, and also in our breeding program to secure genetic material over the next 15, 25 years. So that's been put on hold, and that's the sad part of this load shedding. I don't think anybody, especially the powers to be, is realize what they're doing to this economy. So we had to put a halt on that, preserve cash, and then take a large part of that, close on 200 million of that, and reinvest it into power generating now. So that's money that was never intended for, you know, additional electricity supply or generating plants. It was for expansion. So it's been placed on hold. So the growth of the industry in the future is also questionable now. And then, of course, on top of that is the operating cost of those generators. That adds to the cost of producing a chicken, and that's why our calculations say that we are, at this point in time, under recovering our production cost by R2 a kilo, more or less.
Chris, trying to get government to sort out the infrastructure, to sort out the electricity issues is one thing, but then we've got the national budget coming up, and I would imagine you would once again support a move to make chicken a zero VAT rated item. You've recommended that before.
Yes, Devin. So if you think about that basket that's about 25 years old now, I think it needs a review. There was a review on the table about 5-6 years ago. Astral were the leading party to try and convince government that there's been a shift in consumption. For instance, we've got canned fish in there. Now, we don't say that should be taken out the basket, but poultry has by far become the value proposition of choice when it comes to meat protein. And the government have to consider that it's a staple diet, it's a protein-based diet. it is the best converter of raw materials. So there's a big case to be made out that chicken should be zero rated, or certain products of chicken in the near future for the consumer, especially thinking about the dire straits that our current average consumer finds itself in.